Hey, hello everybody. This is Ralph, and in this video, I'm not really going to be doing a tarot reading or anything like that. I just want to take a look at two different styles of tarot cards, and specifically looking at the Strength card. You see, if you're a student of the Rider Waite Tarot Deck or any of the other tarot decks that are based on the Rider Waite Tarot, you're used to the Strength card being this one. A beautiful woman, a maiden who is dealing with a lion, and she is using her inner strength, her inner force to make this lion bend to her will. And it's all about inner strength and stuff like that. Now, an earlier tarot deck, though, much earlier, is something called the Visconti Tarot. This tarot deck came out of Italy back in the mid 1500s. The Rider Waite was 1971, at least when it became published in the United States. But the Visconti Tarot was from the mid 1500s Italy, and it's a much, much older deck. It's one of the oldest tarot decks that's still in use today. And we can see what the Strength card looks like there. We do not have a maiden who is gently making the lion bend to her will. What we have is a guy with a club who is beating that poor lion to within an inch of his life. And the lion is being beaten into submission. So in the original Visconti deck depiction of the Strength card or La Force, it's not about inner strength. It's more about brute force, the brute force of the man overcoming the lion. So not as beautiful, not as poetic of a depiction as the Rider Waite deck, but definitely a different depiction. And I think we can see it better if I clear out the card boxes with our lighting here. But yeah, here we have a definite depiction of inner strength, using your hidden strength, your hidden talents to overcome adversities. And here we have a depiction of just plain old brute force. And again, it just makes me feel sad for that lion in that picture. But I mean, this is an example of how tarot card designs can morph over time, and also how tarot card meanings can morph over time. And even with the same deck, some tarot card meanings do shift. One generation will see like the Rider Waite deck tarot meanings in one way, and then the next generation will be adding in something else. A good example of this is me and my wife with the Suit of Swords in tarot. And in the beginning, here's a swords card here, the Four of Swords. Let me find another one. But I mean, we used to say, and we still say, that swords is all about thought. Thought, the intellect, life of the mind. But in this computer age, swords also can carry the meaning, in my opinion, and in my wife's opinion too, swords can also carry the meaning of electronic communications, internet, like Six of Swords here. Back when I first started reading, 1970s, pre-internet age, I used to think of that as traveling away from your troubles, seeking distance from your troubles, going to a place where you can heal, but essentially leaving your troubles behind. Today, if that card comes up in a reading and I'm asking about the internet, maybe we got a bad internet connection, I'll look at that card and I'll think, yep, internet's on the fritz all right. But we're on the path to getting that internet restored. So good news coming down the pike here. But yeah, that meaning has definitely shifted a little bit over time. From the pre-internet age, where swords was all about thought and life of the mind, to now the internet age, where it can still stand for thought, but also be standing for electronic communications and things like that. So yeah, tarot card meanings can definitely shift over time, and even with the same reader. When times change, the same reader may look at the same cards and start giving them a whole different interpretation. Now, I want to finish out this video. This is a Visconti Tarot here, but I wanted to show you what this old-fashioned deck looks like, just kind of going through the major arcana. Here we got the Magician, and you can notice something right away, is that with this tarot deck, this came out of Italy, mid-1500s, and what you see here is a depiction of, royalty, based in the Italian, 15th century Italian tradition, and also kind of a Christian aspect, sort of a Catholic Christian aspect to these cards. The Hierophant, more or less like the Pope. This is, I believe, I don't have my glasses on, but that looks like the High Priestess, also known in some decks as the female Pope. But yeah, we see here more of a Christian depiction of the tarot. And that's because when this deck was first designed and was used for card games back in the mid-1500s, maybe even a little bit before that, Catholicism was in charge of Italy. Catholicism, and was it Protestantism at that time too? I think it was beginning to make itself felt. But it was basically a Christian worldview back in those days. And the cards reflected that worldview. And then when you had the Golden Dawn take the tarot cards and redesign them back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, they began to take on more of a hermetic, pagan type feel. And that's another example of how the tarot cards have shifted and morphed over time. But it's kind of interesting when my wife and I are dealing with people talking about tarot. Of course, sometimes we'll come across Christians who think that tarot is, occult. It's evil, it's nasty, it's the work of the devil and the witches. And that's what I was first told in seminary back in the 1970s when I first began reading tarot for fun. And my spiritual advisor hit the fan. He said, "Ralph, you shouldn't be messing with these things. They are instruments of the devil. This is what witches use." But that's not the way it began. In the mid-1500s with the Visconti Tarot, we see actually more of a Christian tradition being reflected within the tarot. So for people that think that tarot is all about witchcraft and witches and paganism and all that, yes, there are some decks that are definitely geared towards that mindset, and it can be used for those purposes. However, some of the original tarot decks, like Visconti Tarot, the Tarot of Marseille, they're rich in Christian symbology. And the Visconti Tarot deck, I love the way these images are depicted, the way they're crafted. The only exception is I don't like this guy beating that poor lion, but that's just my take on things. But yeah, tarot styles definitely have shifted over time. We've gone from, tarot having more of a Catholic Christian and maybe even a Protestant Christian type of a feel to, 20th century, early 20th century when the Golden Dawn began designing their tarot decks, and then the 1970s when those tarot decks became mainstream. And then again, back in the 1970s, when tarot was becoming very popularized, we had certain Christian groups designing their own overtly Christian tarot decks. I don't have it in my possession, but I saw this online several years ago. There's something called the Jesus Tarot, and that was popular back in the 1970s. But I mean, yeah, these cards, the styles have definitely shifted over time. Now, my wife has given me a couple other cards she wants me to show. Here it looks like we got Venus on the half shell. What is that? That is a guy holding the sun. That's the sun card, right? And this, oh my God, this looks like out of Dante's Inferno. This is the devil card. And yeah, it's almost like the devil eating the poor sinners that have been cast into hell. So yeah, again, contrast these depictions to the way that they're depicted in the modern day tarot decks. I mean, just totally different. And yeah, a totally different art style. So yeah, if you're looking to get involved in tarot reading and you're operating from a preconceived notion that tarot decks are all about just one thing, I would suggest that you lose that mindset immediately, because there's a lot of different tarot decks out there. There have been numerous tarot decks over the past few centuries, and everything shifts. So if you want to get like a tarot deck that's all about cats, they've got a tarot deck that's all about cats. If you're a housewife wanting a tarot deck, housewives are not as popular now as they used to be, but still a few people out there that refer to themselves as housewives. There's a Housewives Tarot. There's Kitchen Magic Tarot. There's Rider Waite Tarot. There's Morgan Greer Tarot. We've got probably about 50 other decks stashed around the house, all different, that we've forgotten about. This Visconti Tarot is just one of them. But I mean, yeah, all kinds of different decks out there. Find the one that speaks to you and start reading with it.
We got the Indian tarot.
The Indian tarot. Yeah. There is. Yeah, there's a tarot deck based on the Bhagavad Gita.
We're looking at yesterday.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, yeah, there's one full tarot deck, I think based on the Bhagavad Gita. We don't have that. I was thinking about buying that, but that deck at that time was out of print, and they're charging like upwards of $100 plus to get one deck of those cards. But I do have an oracle deck that's based on Bhagavad Gita, and another one based on Mahabharat. And yeah, those decks, they're more oracle cards, not true tarot decks, and I'm more of a tarot purist. But anyway, I just like the different styles.
Do you remember you bought me a tarot cards? I don't know if it's oracle, but I still have a special spot. It's a pink color, and I don't know if it's from China or Japan. But I need to look at it and showing you. You bought me that for Valentine's Day. I thought it was
vaguely
so
remember
sweet.
That. That was about 10, 15 years ago, right?
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and I forget the fairy tarot, I think is what that was. Tarot of the fairies, something like that.
I need to look in it. I know where I have, and I will show you tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, but anyway, I've got to wrap this video up. So anyway, there's a brief walkthrough of how tarot cards can change over time, and just a little overview of the many different decks that are out there in the different styles. So anyway, hope you had fun with this video like we did making it. This is Ralph signing out. We'll catch you in future updates. Bye-bye.